Hi guys, doing and welcome to another Arc Garage video. Today I'm gonna be doing a DIY unlock headlights on mod. Now the best way to do this would be to reprogram the body control module, but since I'm unable to do that myself, I'm gonna use different methods. There are two ways that come up to my mind to accomplish this. The first one is to use a regular relay and to essentially get a signal from the dome light to activate it. The second one is to use this timed relay and get a signal from the indicator. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to accomplish this mod using both of these methods. Before we start, I just gotta tell you that you must have some basic electrical knowledge in order to avoid any issues. And if you want to know how relays work, I'm gonna put the link to that video in the description below. Now this relay right here is for the low beam headlights. I'm gonna pull it out. Now I'm gonna take my multimeter and I'm gonna test for voltage. I'm gonna get my negative probe and I'm gonna connect it to the ground on the car. But before I do that, let me just show you the relay from the other side. You'll see that it has 4 pins. I don't know how well can you see it on the camera, but there are 4 numbers to those 4 pins. Now 85 and 86 are going to be your pins to the electromagnet inside the relay, while 30 and 87 are going to be the pins to the main connection. Now if I test the bottom side, I'm not getting any voltage, while I am getting 12.5 volts on the upper side. This essentially means that our relay is getting constant voltage and the switch to that relay is located on the negative side. So I would basically have to give this relay a ground to activate the low beam headlights. As I said in the beginning of the video, the first method to accomplish this is to get a signal from the dome light. My setup is basically going to look like this. As you can see, there are 3 wires right here. So I'm gonna get my multimeter and I'm gonna test it out. Alright, I'm gonna open the doors to turn the dome light on. I'm gonna test this first wire right here. And as you can see, it's basically a ground wire. Now if I test the middle one, I'm getting a 12 volts. Now the last one right here is giving me 0.3 volts. So that is essentially going to be the switched negative wire, and that's the one we need. Now keep in mind that this wire which is giving me 0.3 volts is actually showing 12 volts when the dome light is off. That means that it basically has the same switch as our relay on the negative side, so it activates the ground to turn on the dome light. And that's what I'm talking about right here. You can see that now I'm getting 12 volts. So basically the voltage is coming through until the body computer activates the ground to turn the dome light on. Just to clarify it one more time, I'm gonna use this blue and yellow wire as the signal wire to activate the secondary relay that I'm gonna add, which is this one right here. This relay is then gonna pass the ground to the low beam headlight relays to activate the low beam headlights. To supply the electromagnet inside this red relay with voltage, I'm gonna use this fuse right here. Now this fuse is gonna give our electromagnet constant 12 volts, and when the dome light activates, is gonna give the ground to our electromagnet, which is then gonna pass the ground to the to our low beam headlight relay. As you can see right here, I removed the insulation from this wire, and I'm gonna splice in another wire. I'm gonna put a drop of the solder on it, and I'm going to pull the this black wire through the headliner and through the A-pillar. Now I'm gonna add the female connector to the other side of that wire, and I'm gonna insulate it with some heat shrink. This wire right here is going to be connected to that fuse slot I just showed you, and as you can see I've protected that wire with the 10 amp fuse. Now to the other side I'm going to add another female connector, which is going to be connected to the other pin of the electromagnet inside the red relay. This is how it basically looks like. As you can see, the red wire is connected to the fuse slot, which is protected by the 10 amp fuse. Now the black wire from the dome light is connected to the other pin of the electromagnet inside the red relay. Now when I open the door, I can actually hear the relay activating, which means that it's going to pass the ground to our low beam headlight relay. There are two more wires that I need to make. First I need to get the ground from the dash, so I'm gonna add this connector and I'm gonna connect it to the screw under the dash. That's gonna give the ground to our red relay. Now to the other side of this black wire I'm gonna add another female connector. Here's the last wire that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna add another female connector, which is gonna be connected to the red relay, and the other side is gonna be connected to the ground on the black low beam headlight relay. The other side of this last wire is going to be connected to the ground on our black relay, so I'm going to take more of the insulation off. And essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it around this ground pin, and I'm going to put a little bit of solder on it so it doesn't move or do anything like that. Alright, this is how everything looks like. It might look complicated at the first glance, but it's actually very simple. The red wire powers our electromagnet. The black wire from the dome light gives the ground to the electromagnet inside our red relay. Now these two black wires, one is connected to the ground on the car. The other one goes from the red relay to the ground on our black relay, which then powers the low beam headlights. And finally, let's check out the end result. If I hit unlock, the low beam headlights turn on. They are going to stay turned on for 5-6 seconds or something like that. Now there are some drawbacks to this method. Every time you open the door, the dome light is going to activate and is going to turn on the low beam headlights. However, if you manually turn on the dome light, the headlights are not going to activate. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. Now I've opened the doors, and the low beam headlights are activated. The headlights are not gonna stay on and drain your battery. They are gonna turn off after a certain amount of time. Now if I close the door, the headlights are gonna follow the dome light and they are going to turn off. I've tested this for approximately 10 days and everything works without any issues. Also, you can use this as the follow me home feature. If you hit the lock button, they are gonna turn off right away. Moving on to the second method, which involves the time delayed relay. Now this relay right here is gonna keep on passing voltage, or in our case ground, after its electromagnet stops receiving a signal, and that's gonna happen for additional 10 seconds. So basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the signal from the indicator to activate the time delayed relay, which is then in return gonna keep on passing the ground for the low beam headlights for additional 10 seconds. My setup for this method is going to look like this. I'm gonna take everything apart, and I'm gonna test which wire is the 12 volt wire. I'm gonna turn the hazards on, and let's check out which wire is gonna give us the signal. Alright, this brown and white wire is giving us the voltage. Now the multimeter can measure it since it is going on and off all the time. Alright, so what I've done here, I've soldered this blue wire to the brown and the white wire on the indicator. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna guide it through this hole and through the firewall inside the cabin. I'm gonna add the female connector to the other side of that blue wire. Now I'm gonna take these two pieces of black wire, and I'm gonna connect them to this same connector, which is going to be attached to the screw and grounded to the car. Again, I'm going to add female connectors to the other sides of those two wires. The last wire that I'm going to need is already attached to the low beam headlights relay from the first method that I showed you, and it's this one right here. So basically what I need to do is just to connect it to the timed relay. Here's how the wiring looks like in the end. The blue wire is the one from the indicator, and I'm using it to power up the electromagnet inside the relay. Now the one on the opposite side is going to be the ground for our electromagnet, and it's connected to the ground on the car right to the screw. Now this one right here is also connected to the ground on the screw. Those were basically the two wires which share the same connector. Now the one on the opposite side from this ground is the one which is connected to the relay for our low beam headlights, and it's this wire right here. So essentially when the relay is activated, it's gonna send the ground to the low beam relay. Finally, let's check out the end result. I'm gonna hit the unlock button, and as you can see right here, the headlights turned on, and they are going to stay on for 10 seconds. I'm gonna hit the lock button again, and the same thing is going to happen. The headlights are gonna receive the ground from the time delayed relay, and they're gonna stay on for additional 10 seconds. I prefer this method more since it doesn't have anything to do with the body module, but it does have one drawback. If you drive with your headlights off every time you activate the left turn signal, the low beam headlights are gonna turn on. Since I'm driving with the lights on all the time, which is required by law in my country, that shouldn't be the issue. That would be all for this video. If you liked it, hit the like button and support our channel by subscribing and by sharing our content with the rest of car enthusiasts.